Yep.
Hey, we're live.
We do it this way. See, we're nice little backdrop. This is kind of like artsy.
Rule of thirds.
All right.
I don't know.
Whatever. We're live. Mass Lives. John Corrales, Tom Westerholm here. Before the Celtics and the Clippers. Road trip wraps up. Looking to go 4-0. I mean, yeah, even if they lose, it's a successful road trip. They
Absolutely.
sort of found themselves, but 4-0 better than 3-1, so that would be nice.
I mean, they could use it. Like I think at this point, it's not going to be it's not like the road trip is a disappointment if they lose tonight, but I think they would be somewhat disappointed if they did because obviously it's been a long stretch. Everybody's kind of tired. You and I are tired. It's been a long journey here. But I think that this is a winnable game for them, and it sounds like obviously Jason Tatum's going to be out tonight with a shoulder injury, so they're not at full strength. But they do have a lot of the guys who've been playing really well recently. They've got Kyrie, they've got Jalen, Gordon. All these guys are good to go. So I mean, this is a game that they can win. And I mean, think about how much better it would sound if you said they went on this road trip that included the Warriors, that included two solid teams in the Kings and the Clippers, and you went 4-0. I mean, that is a sort of a galvanizing thing, I think.
Absolutely. It'd be the second straight year they went on a West Coast
exactly.
trip, sweep a West Coast trip, and kind of find themselves and set the tone moving forward. It is, I think, imperative that they start well. They did not start well against the Lakers, and I think that was a little bit disappointing for the team, a little bit disappointing for Brad Stevens. Not the biggest storyline coming out of it. We've talked about that at many times now since then. But I think there is an emphasis on the Celtics coming out playing well from the start.
Yeah.
There's no more excuses. There's no more nightlife is undefeated. Like, they've done all that. So it's time for the Celtics to come out here and play well out of the gates. I think Al Horford, we haven't mentioned Al Horford yet. We've seen all along this trip, we've seen since he got better, his knee got right, getting it to Al Horford, and it happened at the beginning of the Lakers game. Get it into Al Horford and good things are going to happen. He's either going to take his mismatch off the dribble, he can post his mismatch up, and then you cut behind him, you're going to get easy baskets. So I would look for them to continue to establish Al Horford. They like having Al Horford initiate the offense at the beginning of these games when they need to start moving right away. So I would look for a lot of Al Horford early.
Yeah, and I mean, he's been, when the offense kind of stagnates, he's the very reliable guy for a bunch of different reasons. One, he can get his own basket, but two, if he gets the ball, stuff is going to happen around him. Like people are going to have to cut, guys are going to have to move along the perimeter, and he's such a good passer that he finds those guys. So I mean, the Lakers were at a bit of a disadvantage with Horford because he was able to just abuse them really bad. I mean, he was hitting pick and pops over McGee. He was just crushing Wagner whenever he got him in the post. I mean, that was a tough matchup, and the Clippers have better guys for that. They've got Zubac, they've got Montrezl Harrell. Those guys are better equipped to deal with somebody like Al Horford. But just having him, so there's not going to be as many double teams, which are the big thing. Where if you double Al Horford, the Celtics get exactly what they want. But they do have, it still is, when you get the ball to him, you're getting the ball to one of the highest IQ players on the team. You're getting the ball to a guy who's going to make the right play, a good 90% of the time. And that's a good value play at this point.
Next, who's going to step up in the absence of Jason Tatum? With Tatum out, there's a question of who's going to start. I don't think it'll be Gordon Hayward. We've maybe brought up Jaylen Brown as a possibility. I'm wondering if Brad Stevens wants to keep those bench matchups together, and you get a wild card, like Shemi Ojale. Do they start somebody like Shemi to keep that Gordon, Jaylen Brown pairing off the bench?
Yeah.
Or do they go big with Baines?
Yeah, I mean, you could go either direction, and I think if you're going to go big against a team, the Clippers aren't a bad team to go big against. They've got bigs who can be damaging, and Baines has done a really good job. So I think he would probably be my guess. Obviously, for me personally, selfishly, it would work out very nicely if they started Shemi Ojale, because I had a whole feature about him on MassLive.com today. But I think Jalen, would make some sense. Especially the Clippers often start a 3-guard lineup, and Jalen is pretty good at chasing those guys around. We often see him getting the matchup against JJ Redick when they played the Sixers. Landry Shamet. that's a very similar type of guy, especially at least the way that he's utilized, at least in his rookie season here, is that guy who runs around screens, comes off, tries to hit threes. Jalen, when he's engaged, he can stay really well attached to them. And so I think he would make some sense, but I think, when you just kind of run it down, obviously the Celtics like having, like you mentioned, they like keeping their rotations together, and I could definitely see Baines starting as a result of that. But I think Shemi will get some minutes, and I think, either way, it will be interesting to see defensively, especially like how the Celtics match up here.
Let's talk about that feature that you wrote.
Okay.
Share a little story. Share a little something from that anecdote, because it's a great feature on Shemi Ojale. Share one of your favorite anecdotes so people can know what they're.
Well, there was a funny story that Celtics assistant Scott Morrison told me where they went to Chicago, and Shemi, wherever he goes, he needs the Celtics assistants to find him a gym where he can shoot, because he likes to get shots up. So they go to a gym. On the way up back in their Uber, Shemi realizes he forgot his phone. They double back. They see a couple guys on the street, like bending down, and they look like they pick up a phone. So Shemi jumps out of the Uber and chases these guys down. These guys say they don't have the phone, but on the Find My iPhone app, it looks like the phone is still walking with these guys as they walk away. So Gordon Hayward, Shemi Ojale, and 3 Celtics assistant coaches are all just booking it down the streets of Chicago, trying to recover Shemi's phone, which has nothing to do with the story, which is about how hard Shemi works. But it was just funny, and I had to include it one way or the other.
Can you imagine having Shemi Ojale? You're walking along the street. You haven't done anything wrong. They didn't have his phone.
That's the funny part of the story. The phone was in the gym the whole time.
And all of a sudden, Shemi Ojale comes bolting out of a car, chasing you down. That's like staring death in the face.
Well, it's great because you have possibly the most muscular guy in the NBA, and also like a guy who everybody knows.
Yeah.
Like it's like people know who Gordon Hayward is. Like,
right.
You just happen to have these 2 dudes just chasing you down. That would be a wild scene.
So it's a good story. It's all about Shemi Ojale and how hard he works. We've seen it. The way he works out, he's working out after games, all that stuff. So it's and it's wild to hear him in the locker room. We're trying to do our kind of media scrums, and all of a sudden weights are being thrown around in the locker room.
And it doesn't sound like a small amount of weight either.
It's
like,
not.
You can tell it's not a small amount of weight.
Significant amount of weight.
Yeah.
So that's the whoa. We got blurry there for a second. There we go. So all right, that's it here from Staples Center. Part 2 from Staples Center. Celtics looking to close out the road trip 4-0. Turn their season around. They needed this road trip. It's going to be very interesting to see how this game goes and how they move forward. Lots of good stuff coming out of the team. We're going to talk to them in a few minutes, so we'll have our pregame notes up, so check those out. And, of course, look for more on Mass Live. It's masslive.com/Celtics. Look for my stuff, John Corrales. Look for his stuff, Tom Westerholm. And we'll talk to you guys later.